The camera pans through the grand halls of the Navy headquarters, saw officers walking briskly, medals glinting under fluorescent lights, boots echoing on the polished floor. But in one corner, a quiet figure moves with a mop and bucket. His uniform isn't white or blue like the others, it's gray, with the words maintenance staff stitched on the chest. His name tag reads E. Collins. To most, he's invisible, just another janitor cleaning up after others. But what no one knows of what he's worked hard to hide is that once upon a time, that man wasn't cleaning floors, he was saving lives in the skies. Every morning, Ethan Collins clocked in before sunrise. He'd sweep the main hall, wipe the glass plaques bearing the names of Navy heroes, and mop the corridor leading to the command office. He never lingered near the portraits, but sometimes, as his rag passed over the golden frame of a photo of fighter jets midair, pilots saluting, he'd pause just long enough to whisper a name no one else remembered, Raven 1. Then he'd move on before anyone noticed the look in his eyes. Ethan's life had become simply deliberately so. A single dad to a 9-year-old daughter named Lily, he spent his days cleaning and his nights helping her with homework. She loved planes, just like he once did. Every time they passed the Navy airfield, she'd press her face to the glass and say, "Daddy, one day I'm going to fly." Ethan would smile, though inside, the words twisted like a blade. He'd promised himself never to fly again. The janitors at HQ liked Ethan. Quiet, polite, never one to gossip. He never talked about his past, and they never asked. But there was something about him, a certain posture, a sharpness in his eyes that didn't quite fit the life of a cleaner. He moved with the precision of a soldier, and his silence carried the weight of memories no one dared to question. Then one morning, everything changed. It was supposed to be routine. The Admiral was visiting Admiral Thorne, one of the most decorated officers in the Navy. The hall buzzed with anticipation. Officers lined up for inspection, and even the janitorial staff was told to stay invisible, to finish their work before the Admiral arrived. Ethan was polishing the floor outside the conference room when the double doors burst open and a young lieutenant rushed out, pale-faced and trembling. "Sir, we've lost contact with Falcon Team," the lieutenant stammered. Their comms went dark over the northern corridor. The rescue drone failed to connect. Inside, the voices grew tense. Ethan froze mid-motion, the mop handle tightening in his grip. "Falcon Team, a broken bar, northern corridor, a broken bar." His pulse began to race. He knew that region. He'd flown over it once, years ago. A dangerous zone with unpredictable currents. One mistake, and you vanished from radar. He tried to focus on his work. "You're not that man anymore," he reminded himself. "You're just a janitor now." But fate wasn't done with him. When Admiral Thorne stepped out moments later, Ethan instinctively straightened. The Admiral's eyes passed over him once, he then stopped. He frowned slightly, as if trying to place a memory. "Collins, a broken bar?" the Admiral murmured. "Ethan Collins." Ethan stiffened. The name echoed in the hallway like a gunshot. Officers turned, whispering. Thorne's gaze sharpened. "Call sign Raven 1. The entire room went silent. For a moment, time itself seemed to stop. Every officer stared, realization dawning. Raven 1. The name was legendary. A pilot who led a rescue mission during a classified operation 5 years ago, saving an entire squadron before vanishing without a trace. The Navy had assumed he died in the crash. His records were sealed, his medals awarded posthumously, and now a broken bar. He was standing there, holding a mop. "Sir," Ethan said quietly, breaking the silence, "I'm just a janitor now." Thorne's voice trembled slightly as he stepped closer. "You were the best pilot we ever had, Collins. Why hide? Why disappear?" Ethan looked down at the floor, his reflection shimmering in the polish. "Because, sir, the last time I flew a broken bar I didn't bring everyone home." There was a pain in his voice that silenced every question. He'd survived a mission no one was supposed to survive, and the guilt had driven him into exile. He traded wings for a mop, medals for quiet anonymity. But destiny has a way of finding those who run from it. A few hours later, chaos erupted again. An emergency alert blared through IK. Another Navy jet had gone down near the same zone. Falcon team disappeared. The nearest pilot was too far away. The window for survival was closing fast. Admiral Thorne looked at Ethan. "We don't have time. You know that terrain better than anyone." Ethan froze. The uniform wasn't his anymore. The sky wasn't his home. But then, he thought of Lily, of the promise he'd made yet to never let fear define his life again. He met the Admiral's eyes. "If I go a broken bar, I go as Raven 1. The next few minutes were a blur. The flight suit fit tighter than he remembered. The engines roared like old ghosts calling him home. As the jet took off, the control tower fell silent. Watching the Janitor they'd ignored rise through the clouds like a legend reborn. Ethan's hands moved instinctively, a muscle memory from a life he thought he'd buried. He found the lost team's beacon, maneuvered through storm and debris, and locked onto the crash site. The rescue was precise, daring, and pure poetry in motion. When the jets returned to base hours later, every officer at HQ stood on the tarmac. The hangar doors opened slowly. Out stepped Ethan Collins, a helmet under his arm, face streaked with sweat and ash, eyes steady. The silence broke into thunderous applause. Admiral Thorne saluted. "Welcome home, Raven 1. But Ethan shook his head, a faint smile on his lips. "No, sir. Just Ethan Collins, a single dad, janitor, a broken bar, and proud of both." He turned toward the crowd, and running through the cheering officers was Lily. She threw her arms around him, and the moment froze in time. A father, a hero, and a man who finally stopped running from himself.